Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining and welcome back to Wall Street Silver. Our guest today is Chris Vermeulen, Chief Market Strategist at technicaltraders.com. Welcome back, sir.
Hey, thanks, Ivan. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure having you come down and talk to Wall Street Silver. I wanted to get you down and talk about everything that's happening in the markets, all the craziness with, Powell and all the rest. Right now, people are talking lots about gold. Gold is hitting new all-time highs. Silver is starting to follow this week and starting to make some moves. What are you seeing right now in the precious metals market, Chris?
Yeah, precious metals are definitely coming to life. Long story short, gold is started, I believe, a new super cycle in 2019. This is a very long cycle, 5, 10 plus years. It really just actually hit its first measured move, its first technical target. Really, as you and I are recording, this is Friday, um, the 5th. So
Yeah.
gold has just hit its first target. It's a beautiful move. Silver's just starting to break out, but it's at resistance. Gold miners, silver miners have all had very nice rallies. They're overbought. Now they're all in a strong uptrend, but I think they're a little overheated right now. So a little bit of a pause or pullback over the next week would be really ideal because then they can just keep going after that. So I'm really bullish. I think gold has got potential to rally to about 2,600 to 2,700 over the next 3 to 5 months. So there's lots
Mm.
of upside potential there.
Oh, and what do you see with central banks? They're buying massive amounts of gold. Countries are, like the banks now are buying gold at like, all-time records. So what do they see that we don't?
They probably realize I mean, I don't trust the banking system or the financial system, and they are the systems. They're like, guys,
Uh,
we're screwed. Let's buy metals.
like we can't print anymore.
If the shysters and cheaters are buying all the gold, there's real problems coming.
Yeah. Do you think they just look at the overall picture in the next 10 years and they're like, yeah, inflation is not going anywhere. They're going to get some physical assets and then just, what do you see there? Like, yeah.
I think banks, central banks, I think they all see it just like we do, is it's a real physical asset. It has value. You can't just make it out of thin air like a currency and add more zeros. And I mean, it's something real, right? It's a lot like real estate. It's a physical, something physical. So I think they're trying to, accumulate this because who knows, maybe there's a gold currency coming out. I think there's going to be the battle for which country's got the most gold. And um,
Yeah, that's
I,
possible.
yeah, it'll be interesting, but I think they just see probably really bleak times ahead, and they're like, let's just start getting gold because if the currencies or whatever blows up, but still we've still got some bullion.
Yeah, well, you look at the US dollar and it's depreciated 97% or so since it's the creation of the Fed in 1913, I think it was something like that. But it's lost 97% of its like your purchasing power you've lost in the United States for the US dollar. So uh, like how much longer can they kick the can down the road when you're at 33, 34 trillion dollars in debt and you're paying, trillions of dollars in interest on that debt? So yeah, how long can you kick the can down the road?
I don't know. I mean, if you keep changing the rules, you'll never lose. So
Yeah, yeah, that's
I
right.
don't know, right? It's like the
Yeah, like
giant
if
game
there's
of
a
Monopoly,
yeah,
and
if
they all
there's
just
a
keep changing
reset.
the rules because they're all like, every country's almost in debt to another country. They're all bankrupt, but they're all like, hey, if we just change the rules and just give me some more 500s out of that, the till on Monopoly. They just keep borrowing it, so they can kick it pretty far, I think.
And that's probably why the central banks are buying so much gold.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they know they're out of control. They can't stop it. I mean, so they're trying to come up with something else
Mhm.
that's, for all we know, all this is going to happen. And I'm not saying this is going to happen, but there's people out there thinking like $25,000 gold and beyond, right?
Yeah.
And if all hell breaks loose,
Well, if
it
the
could
price
become
of
pretty
if
darn precious.
yeah, if the US dollar is not worth what it's propped up to be, and people really wake up to see how worthless the paper fiat currencies is, of course the gold can be priced in any amount, you know.
Yeah,
It could be
yeah.
10,000. What other precious metals do you look at other than silver and gold? Do you look at palladium, platinum? Do you see potential there? Copper?
Yeah, I look at them occasionally. Like, I mean, palladium, platinum are kind of the other two. I like there's an ETF, a basket that holds all four of those. And if you put all four of those metals together, it actually shows you a very strong chart pattern for precious metals. But if we were to take a look at, for example, like platinum, I really like platinum because it is, really down at a major support level from back in time. I believe it's going to come back and rally with precious metals. Um, Palladium, I mean, it might be a little bit different of a story. But overall, I think no matter what, we're going to see commodities go up. And I think these metals, they have uses, and I think I think they're going to move up. And usually it's the sleepers that actually have a lot of power. So like nobody's interested in platinum. Nobody's been interested in it for quite a while. It's super cheap.
Right.
It used to be everybody wanted a platinum record. Well, it's cheaper than gold. It's like having the bronze record, really. These metals, I think, will come back and come screaming out of nowhere. And there's more upside potential when nobody's actually interested in it. Like
Right.
uranium stocks were beat up forever. Platinum's been beat up. Palladium's getting beat up. There's no interest in them. But when interest comes back into the precious metal space and the general public starts seeing it, hearing about it, and they want to start to get into it, they're going to start looking like, well, what are the precious metals? It's like more than gold and silver, and platinum and palladium will. I think platinum has got quite a bit of potential just because I feel it's more like a precious metal that a lot of bullion stores sell. Platinum, it seems like just that third metal. If you had to pick one, I think people would say gold, silver, and platinum. So I think there's potential from that regard
Mhm.
in them.
What about the mining sector? Do you think it would be smart now to look at the gold and silver mining sector, or what would you be doing?
Yeah, I mean we're in a very strong time, I think, for metals and miners. They've come to life. They put in some pretty big rallies, 20,
Right.
30% rallies from the lows a couple of months ago. I think that I think we could see gold, silver, and miners continue to rally for another 1, 2, or 3 months. I think there's quite a bit of upside. I think there's probably another, if you were to look at like GDX, like just the basket of gold miners, I think GDX could potentially move another 25% fairly easily.
Yeah.
So if you're in individual gold miners, those miners are probably going to be moving 50, 60, 80% or more. But the basket in general is very bullish. Everything's a little frothy, I think, by the end of this week because everybody's talking about metals and miners and they're all frothing at the mouth and they own it and they want to own more. So I feel like a little bit of a pause, a little shakeup is coming, but it might only last a few days. And then I think we're going to keep pushing higher. So I like them. I believe the miners right now is a trade. You get into it, you ride it up for potentially a few more weeks or a few more months, and then it's done. And then we're going to have a market correction and reset, probably a recession of some sort, and they're going to get wiped out and it'll reset the next big move for miners, which I believe miners after that can go hundreds and thousands of percent. That's when gold will probably rally into the $3,000, $5,000 mark. It'll rally for 3, 5 years.
Is that when
Uh,
the Federal Reserve, do you think, will have to lower interest rates? That will kick off them printing a ridiculous amount of money back into the system if some type of crisis comes?
Yeah, possibly. I think so. I think what'll happen is the stock market will start to stall out. The economy will stall out. They start lowering rates to try and help businesses, help investors,
Yeah.
and try and keep money and save the stock market. As rates go down, we'll probably see. I mean, I think we'll see bonds. Bonds, I think, are actually going to be a really solid play going forward. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of chaos. They're going to have to cut rates to try and save the day, and we'll probably see the dollar strengthen during the stock market weakness and as they're cutting rates. But then eventually we'll see the dollar put in a top, and precious metals and miners have kind of generally bottomed months before the stock market. So they're going to rally late. I think they're going to rally even if the stock market starts to sell off later this summer.
Interesting.
I think gold miners and metals will continue to push higher even when the stock market tops for a couple of months, and then they're going to get sucked down with the market, but they'll bottom first. They should bottom well before the stock markets. What happened to 2000, 2002,
Right.
and 2009, 2008, late 2008.
So, looking at the Powell's next move, do you think, because now recently that came out this week, they're saying that there's not going to even be rate cuts this year because if the inflation goes sideways, that's what they're putting out there. Do you think that's a possibility too, that if inflation continues to stay where it's at or a little bit high, of course it'll get higher if there's geopolitical tensions
Mhm.
and to shipping routes going longer because of all
Yeah.
the war that's happening in that place, that region. So, do you think there's a possibility of no rate cuts?
I think so. I don't really, whatever the Fed says, I take it with a grain of salt. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
you
that's
can't
true.
trust anything they say. So
Yeah,
I think the only reason they're going to start cutting rates is when the financial system starts crumbling.
yeah,
Those super wealthy start losing a lot of money. And that's when I think the Fed starts going in there trying to support the stock market, cutting rates, make it so you have to go into the stock market to make any return again and keep the risk on and keep people taking risks. So whenever the stock market falls, that's when they're going to start raising rates.
yeah.
Other than that, they don't know what they're doing, and they're not going to start cutting rates. Like those are their bullets in their guns. Every quarter basis point is another shot to try to save and slow a collapsing economy and the
Yeah.
stock market. So they're going to hold on to that full clip. They got a massive clip of quarter basis points so they can unleash the fury when they need to.
Yeah. Well, it's such a huge pleasure having you come to Wall Street Silver, Chris. And where can people connect with you?
Sure. Yeah. They can go to thegoldanoilguy.com, which is where we're actively trading gold miners and silver miners right now, or thetechnicaltraders.com if you're looking for longer term investing signals using ETFs.
Nice. But yeah, in the future, as of course, gold develops and us, we're going to be watching it closely along with silver. We'd love to have you back on and go over the whole market.
For sure. Sounds great.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chris.
Take care.